If one were to look at every adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein as one connected horror franchise, they would find it much like the monster itself, hastily stitched together from disparate parts, undeniably human but also savage and incompatible with the world we are trying to force it into. In honor of Frankenstein Friday, I've watched several of these adaptations, each with its own unique themes, messages, and quirks. From the profound to the profane, from the tortured to the titillating, these four directors know what it feels like to be God. Flesh for Frankenstein is also sometimes known as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein, though it was directed by Paul Morrissey, with Warhol stating that he was just at the party where the idea for the film came about. It's a companion piece to Blood for Dracula, both starring Udo Kier and Joe D'Alessandro as exceptionally horny villains and, well, let's call them anti-villains. This extremely exploitative version of Frankenstein is full to the brim with nudity, gore, incest, and necrophilia, and it all looks incredible in 3D. The story is mostly about Dr. Frankenstein and his depraved experiments, which he hopes will allow him to create a new race of superhumans which will serve only his will. Udo Kier's thick accent and passionate delivery make this one of the most memorable versions of Victor Frankenstein ever put to film. And the set design is next level. I think this is the version of Frankenstein's lab that Rocky Horror Picture Show was parodying. It's not for the squeamish, but absolutely hilarious if you've got a sick sense of humor. Speaking of comedy, leave it to Frank Henenlotter to take the Frankenstein myth in a wacky new direction. Frankenhooker tells the tale of Jeffrey Franken, who accidentally kills his fiancée by inventing a self-propelled lawnmower, which she stands in front of and gets torn to shreds. He vows to bring her back to life by building her a new body, using parts collected from the lovely ladies who walk the streets of Times Square. But this playing God business is harder than it looks, and Jeffrey's monster turns out to be more woman than he can handle. Come for the super crack, stay for the burliest muscle daddy this side of Tim Capello. While not a direct adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Lucky McKee's May is nonetheless a loving homage to the tale, with several Easter eggs referencing the 1931 film. I can't talk about this film without spoiling it, so if you've never seen it, pause the video and go watch it right now. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. May Kennedy is a strange and lonely girl who is molded by her emotionally neglectful parents and the bullying she endured as a result of her lazy eye. Her only friend is a creepy porcelain doll crafted by her mother. When she spots a boy with the most perfect hands, she laments to the doll that there are so many beautiful parts out there, but no beautiful holes. And when she finally meets this boy and starts a relationship with him, she falls head over heels and it changes something inside her. As the movie goes on, she starts to meet more and more people. One with a beautiful neck, one with powerful arms, and she remembers what her mother said all those years ago. If you can't find a friend, make one. Dear viewers, I've saved the darkest for last. 2015's Frankenstein, helmed by Candyman director Bernard Rose, is the saddest Frankenstein movie I've ever seen. The movie's set in modern-day America and follows the monster as he escapes from Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory, wanders a cold and uncaring world, and finds the companionship that has so eluded him, only to have it torn away time and time again. It touches on homelessness, police brutality, disability, and so much more, in a gut-wrenchingly bleak fashion. There are moments of levity, but they only make the inevitable decline hit that much harder. Tony Todd steals the show as the blind homeless man who befriends the monster, unable to see his wretched appearance, until their friendship comes to a violent end. That said, there's not a bad performance in this film, and the practical effects are nauseatingly gorgeous. If you like to have a bad time, this is the film for you. Despite how unique each of these movies is, they all touch on the core themes of the original story. What does it mean to be alive? Are we defined by our bodies or our minds? To what degree is a creator responsible for the consequences of their creations? I don't have the answers, but what I do know is that cutting people up and sewing them back together is totally metal.